let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. We kickstart today's package with a special report on the financial situation of oil-rich Bayelsa State, which the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission recently declared financially bankrupt. In our next lineup is a report on the abandoned state of the OKPELLE-AMA Shoreline Protection and Land Reclamation Project in Warri Southwest Local Government Area of Delta State. Moving on, we bring you an update on the ongoing forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC, which was ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari to sanitize the commission. And finally, in today's package is a report on efforts being made by the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs to mitigate effects of impending floods on coastal communities in the Niger Delta. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Following their rather poor internally generated revenue collections, the federal government recently declared 5 states insolvent. The bankrupt states include Katsina, Kebbi, Borno, Taraba, and Bayelsa State. While one can easily adduce insecurity as a factor for the non-performance of some of the states, Niger Deltans are rather curious as to why the oil-rich Bayelsa State is included in the list of financially broke states. Bayelsa State, with a population of about 1.7 million people, was created out of the old River State in 1996. With vast crude oil and natural gas deposits, Bayelsa State is a major contributor to Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings through extensive petroleum exploration and exploitation activities. Despite this reality, majority of Bayelsans are rural dwellers who live in poverty, brought on by the very difficult terrain, lack of transportation, health, education, and other infrastructure, and the neglect of the people, as well as their welfare and environment, by successive federal and state governments, and indeed the international oil companies prospecting for oil in the state. Most communities in Bayelsa State are surrounded by water, making them inaccessible by road, which has led to an almost non-existent commerce and zero industrialization. Apart from being one of the most expensive states to live in Nigeria, it also has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, with the state government being the main employer of labor. With this situation, internally generated revenue is bound to be poor. Little wonder, Bayelsa State has been classified as insolvent. In other words, bankrupt.
There's no way that federal government can declare Bayelsa bankrupt. Maybe it is statements to the extent that our internally generated revenue is low.
With the 13% that is coming, with the allocation that is coming, the state government have not said we are bankrupt. So I don't think we are bankrupt.
We all read in the newspapers that your state and 4 other states are insolvent. As people of faith, we rejected it. But the facts are clear about those who have said so. They were speaking to facts.
While most Niger Deltans blame the federal government for Bayelsa's predicament due to its lopsided federal system of governance that puts the natural resources wealth in the hands and control of the federal government, they say past rulers of Bayelsa in the last 20 years had done very little to uplift the state. They argue that despite receiving huge sums of monies from the federal government as 13% derivation, not much was invested into the rapid industrialization of the state. With an average receipt of over 10 billion naira monthly, Bayelsa's last 4 governors since 1999, Chief DSP Alamisia, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, Chief Temipri Silva, and Honorable Seriake Dixon have together received trillions of naira in federal allocations. Yet, Bayelsa State is begging for development.
When expenditure is more than revenue. And what the implication is that Bayelsa has been operating a deficit budgeting for some years now.
With the oil companies refusing to move their headquarters to the state and the near absence of commerce to boost employment generation, there is no way the internally generated revenue can be increased from what it is now, which is less than 10% of what the state gets as federal allocation. Due to poor governance, even when the federal government granted Bayelsa State an oil block, OML 46, the Atala oil field, from which it would have made huge revenues, its own oil firm established to run it, the Bayelsa State Oil Company, could not make a success of it, as OML 46 is today a non-producing oil field. Despite these clear failures on the part of the state's former governors, some Bayelsans believe Nigeria's faulty federal system is the reason an oil-rich state like Bayelsa can be classified as bankrupt. They say with its many difficult environmental, social, and infrastructure challenges, Bayelsa State should have access to more funds to be able to develop and industrialize the state.
I am totally opposed to the current parameters and indices used for revenue sharing. Revenues are derived by the states, and in federal practices, the states pay taxes to the center. Not this current way of taking revenue from one place and sharing it to others. We know how much is taken away from here. So if a little is brought back here, I don't think that anybody will wake up and say Bayelsa State is insolvent.
People from Niger Delta have always insisted that there should be resource control. They have always insisted that this country be restructured.
Bayelsa's insolvency status has many negative implications. For one, getting loans from financial institutions to invest in developmental projects will naturally become very difficult, as financial institutions would not want to give loans to bankrupt entities. With all these challenges, Bayelsa State's new governor, Senator Doyediri, who describes himself as a miracle governor, will surely need a miracle to turn the developmental tide around in the state. He needs to consider partnerships that can industrialize the state, boost commerce, and promote employment generation.
It is agriculture and industry, especially manufacturing. That is where you have, that is the real sector. That is where you have potential for growth and development. The government, the present government should think of investing so much in that area, in agriculture and small-scale industries.
Also, the state's oil block, OML 46, must be made functional and productive. All these will boost revenue generation for the state, and hopefully, in the near future, Bayelsa State can be reclassified as a solvent state.
Inside the Niger Delta. Looking for irresistible luxury? Welcome to Oak Haven Hotel, located at the heart of GRA Port Harcourt, River State. With a wide array of luxury rooms to offer you exquisite comfort to the VIP lounge with wireless internet services and a fully packed bar, Oak Haven Hotel also has a dazzling swimming pool, a chill-out area, and a massage and wellness spa. For your meetings and events, our conference hall and restaurant Victoria will exceed your expectations. Oak Haven Hotel, comfort you can't afford to miss. Azikel Group, oil and gas, dredging, power and air transportation. Azikel Group, petroleum product sufficiency, energy sustainability, and infrastructure development.
OKPELLE-AMA community in Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State is calling on the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC to ensure speedy completion of our shoreline protection and land reclamation project awarded 16 years ago. A political leader from the community, Honorable Oliver Mala, who made the call recently in OKPELLE-AMA town, said the non-completion of the project has made life difficult for the community. Correspondent Akugha Milfori tells us more.
On December 10, 2004, the NDDC awarded the OKPELLE-AMA Shore Protection and Land Reclamation contract to First Marine Engineering Services Limited at an initial cost of roughly 966 million naira. Following a variation of the contract sum, the NDDC in October 2007 approved additional 947 million naira for the project, bringing the total contract sum to 1.9 billion naira. To the dismay of the community, the contractor abandoned the land reclamation project in 2014 after carrying out 47% land filling works.
This project was abandoned since 2014, and we are begging the federal government to intervene because the OKPELLE-AMA community, or the people in the OKPELLE-AMA community, are dying. You can see this sheet pile. The sheet pile now become a hazard to the community. The sheet pile has even killed somebody that were going for fishing. Mistakenly fell into the sheet pile and the person died there. So we are begging the federal government to come to our aid to tell the contractor or ask him to go back to sites.
Worried by the non-completion of the OKPELLE-AMA Shoreline Protection and Land Reclamation Project, the community in 2016 petitioned the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). When contacted, Chief Executive Officer of First Marine Engineering Services Limited, Alaowe Joseph Penawo, gave reasons to justify his company's decision to discontinue work on the project. He said, before it finally moved out of sight on January 29, 2014, his company officially wrote to the NDDC requesting demobilization of its dredger from the community as a result of inadequate mining sand required for the reclamation aspect of the project. The contractor also alleged seizure and detention of his dredger by the community, which equally issued persistent threats to him and his staff. Alaowe Penawo said he was compelled to stop work on the project, which had reached 75% completion stage, and urged the NDDC to reassign the contract. The fact remains that the OKPELLE-AMA Shoreline Protection and Land Reclamation Project has not been delivered. Clearly, the purpose for which the project was initiated and executed has been defeated, leaving the endangered community at a perpetual risk of persistent coastal erosion from the Escravos River. It is important to note that the project failed because a feasibility study was not carried out by the NDDC before its commencement to determine the availability of sand in the area. The Commission has the obligation, therefore, to devise alternative options to address factors militating against the successful completion of the OKPELLE-AMA Shoreline Protection and Land Reclamation Project.
Inside the Niger Delta. NDDC, established in the year 2000 to help develop Nigeria's Niger Delta region. After 2 decades, what is their scorecard?
The amount of money which the federal government is religiously allocating to NDDC, we would like to see the results on the ground.
They have been doing a lot in the last 19 years, but if they were doing quality projects, I'm sure that we would have seen so much on the ground.
What is the state of the NDDC project in your community? Tell us about it and we will report it. Send us an email to insidethenigerdelta@gmail.com or call us on 080-920-76444. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has described the ongoing forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, as a step in the right direction to revamp the intervention agency. Senator AKPABIO made the observation recently in Abuja while inaugurating field forensic auditors engaged to undertake a forensic audit of the NDDC. Correspondent Ekena Miofori has details.
Following several petitions alleging corruption and administrative lethargy characterizing operations of the NDDC over the years, President Muhammadu Buhari, in October 2019, upon the prompting of state governors in the Niger Delta, ordered a forensic audit of the Commission's operations. In February this year, a lead forensic auditor, Olumuyiwa & Co., having been cleared by the Bureau of Public Procurement, was appointed to carry out a forensic audit of NDDC operations from its inception in 2001 to August 2019. In what was generally viewed as a move to scuttle the forensic audit of NDDC operations as ordered by President Muhammadu Buhari, the National Assembly in May this year commenced a probe of alleged financial recklessness of the Commission's interim management over a period of 3 months. President Buhari, however, insisted on a more holistic probe of the NDDC when at a recent Federal Executive Council meeting, he approved the appointment of 8 field forensic auditors to complement the work of the lead forensic auditors. Together, the team of forensic auditors will determine how over 12,000 projects were abandoned by the NDDC, as well as how the Commission spent about 5 trillion naira it received in statutory allocations from its inception in 2001 to August 2019. The recent inauguration of 8 field forensic auditors, as Senator AKPABIO explained, was in furtherance of President Buhari's determination to properly x-ray the rots in the NDDC with a view to sanitizing the ailing commission.
The bold attempt by this president to order this holistic examination of activities of the Niger Delta Development Commission from inception to August 31st, 2019 has clearly demonstrated his concern and love for the good people of the Niger Delta region and by implication Nigeria. This administration considers this as a very important project because if we can reposition that region, it will run on a roller coaster.
This job is not for accountants alone. It's for all professionals that have to do with construction work and evaluation. And please note that the head office has a greater, assignment to perform. In addition to its role for the regular forensic audit, the consultant for the headquarters shall also have responsibility for the review of governance, because that is very important. Most of what is happening or what has happened in the past in NDDC is because of this governance.
The NDDC was established through an act of parliament to address serious ecological devastations, poverty and political tension in the Niger Delta with the implementation of development-oriented programs and projects. Owing to its inability to meet the aspirations of largely backward communities in the Niger Delta, the forensic auditors have the dual mandate to ascertain possible factors militating against efficient service delivery by the NDDC and profile lasting solutions for the common good of the Niger Delta region.
You were chosen as a result of your technical competencies and, of course, you ensured financial compliance to undertake this national assignment that will hopefully usher in a new lease of life in the Niger Delta region and reposition the Niger Delta Development Commission to meet the yearnings and aspirations of the founding fathers.
Today marks the official commencement of the forensic audit of projects and programs of the Niger Delta Development Commission as directed by Mr. President in October 2019. The forensic audit exercise should therefore be seen as a serious effort by government to save this development agency from destruction, as well as to stop the rot and chart a new course for serious repositioning of the agency so that it could efficiently channel the massive resources at its disposal for effective development of the region.
The recent inauguration of 8 field forensic auditors, including Ernst & Young, an audit firm with international repute, signals the actual commencement of the forensic audit of NDDC operations. It is expected that the NDDC forensic audit, the most comprehensive audit undertaken throughout Nigeria's history, comes with a paradigm shift from similar exercises whose outcomes were swept under the carpet in time past.
Inside the Niger Delta, BAYELSA Oil Producing Limited, oil production and exploration company. BAYELSA Oil, truly indigenous, world-class brand.
In a related development, Senator AKPABIO has reiterated the federal government's commitment to mitigate and, if possible, avert potential negative impacts of impending flooding on communities in the Niger Delta following the recent flood alert issued by the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA on littoral states across the country. Senator AKPABIO gave the assurance recently in Abuja, where he inaugurated an interagency committee to provide a blueprint to address incidents of coastal floods across the Niger Delta. Correspondent Lovely Ofigo has more.
Recently, Senator AKPABIO inaugurated an interagency committee for the mitigation of flood impacts on flood-prone communities across the Niger Delta. The committee members, drawn from relevant ministries and agencies of the federal government, are to assess the region's preparedness and provide strategies to tackle impending flooding of coastal communities. In the month of July this year, the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA had predicted that about 102 local government areas across 28 states were at risk of severe flood incidents that would take a huge toll on affected communities. Considering that all 9 states of the Niger Delta, with the exception of Cross River State, were flashpoints identified in the recent flood alert, AKPABIO and his team decided to take proactive measures against the ravaging effects of coastal flooding in the Niger Delta, with the inauguration of an interagency flood committee on the Niger Delta.
We are not praying that those things must happen, but with a prediction coming from the experts, we must make hay while the sun shines. We cannot wait to be only reactive. We should be proactive. We want to see how we can prevent the idea of rescuing people. But we make sure that if we know some certain areas are prone to flood, we take preemptive steps to evacuate people on time. That would mean that we're setting up maybe certain IDP camps or identifying areas in that regard.
In recent years, flooding has become an annual occurrence in most communities lying along riverbanks in the Niger Delta. It was in response to the negative effects of constant human displacement and erosion of livelihoods that the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency recently developed a mobile application to give daily flood reports on the Niger Delta. Minister of State for Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Omotayo Alasho-Adura, while commending federal government agencies on their efforts to tackle the menace of flood across the country, however enjoined them to work with state governments to achieve desired results.
Do you have offices at the state level, and what form of cooperation do you have in trying to ensure that before building plans are approved in very dangerous areas, you are involved? The state, to me, is exceedingly crucial to whatever is going to be done to assuage whatever calamity may be awaiting us.
The Interagency Committee on Impending Floods in the Niger Delta is expected to submit its report to the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs sometime in the middle of September 2020.
Inside the Niger Delta. Get to know the future. The future is ITEO.
And with that report, we draw the curtain on the program. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until next week, I am Mamode Akugha. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.